M-am tot gândit de când am ajuns în Sfântul Gheorghe la ce înseamnă de fapt să lucrezi cu natura și ce înseamnă de fapt să lucrezi cu date despre natură, dacă chestia asta creează o separare de fapt față de natură sau o distanță. Am venit desigur cu ideea de a încerca să recoltez niște date, niște parametri fizico-chimici ai apei din delta în diverse contexte de plante în jurul unor colonii de stuf, în jurul unor plauri, gândindu-mă la a fixa un moment în timp, aceste date care doar pentru un moment există în jurul coloniei de stuf la care mă gândesc. E ca atunci când faci o fotografie, înregistrezi de fapt acum, în acest moment, cum trăiește acest stuf în apa lui. Stuful e foarte interesant din punctul ăsta de vedere, felul în care produce și consumă oxigen. E această respirație, e foarte ușor să o identifici într-o deltă, cred. Te face să te gândești la asta, la faptul că toate plantele și toată vegetația dintr-o deltă are roluri cumva diferite, dar în același timp funcționează împreună ca un tot. De altfel, stuful mă interesează și ca material. Colectez bucăți de rizomi, bucăți de stuf cu care voi construi instalația finală. Tindem să uităm că suntem parte din natură. Ce eu inspir s-ar putea să fie expirat deja de alte specii. Poate că inspir o grămadă de microorganisme. Aerul este un mediu absolut colectiv.
There is this entire instability of how do you work with a medium that is so fragile, and how do you bring this into a place that's very volatile somehow. I am in a research project which concerns the Danube Delta and the Danube in its entirety. I am looking at how anthropic interventions such as channelization and cartographic interventions have shaped this environment, and how I can study this and understand it to create a sound installation. I created a series of 3 objects that are sound sculptures, objects that transform the energy of the fresh water into very subtle sounds. And they do so by using a principle that I found in a patent, an old patent, very similar to like galvanic batteries, basically through combining 2 different metals. A very small voltage is obtained once you dip these 2 metals in water, and the water, it's not necessarily about the salinity, it's mostly about the biochemical composition and the way the water flows. Then I also had to create the circuits specially for this water. So I soldered the circuits, and the circuits ended up sounding way more organic than I thought they would. They have this kind of bird-like organic character. The question here was also about experimenting with a new format, like can I make sculptures that float? Can I make electronic sound sculptures that float in an environment? Are they intrusive to this environment? To which degree are they intrusive? Do they create some kind of synergy with this environment, for instance? This was another question, you know. And I think in some ways it worked very well, so I was pleased in the sense that I thought, okay, it is a format that works.
Recording in a big sense is a meditation. You have to be very still, you have to pay attention. It draws an image in your head much more filled with noises and experiences than if you just walk on the street and going from A to B. I was driven by the specifics of the ecological problems, like what kind of problems the Danube Delta and the Danube as river that flows into the Black Sea has. I'm interested in mutation and in adaptation, how we have to fastly adapt in the changing conditions, which somehow human enforced. Like with all scientific practices, everything comes with observing, through sound, through light. When I came here, what triggers me is this serenity and the way how people work. So from a scientific research on the types of species and mutation and adaptation, I kind of got also interested in the human perspective, in how communities adapt. Because the fish goes from the sea
fish,
to the...
The fish go upstream, from the sea, upstream on the Danube.
to lay eggs.
Lay eggs. Probably 800 kilometers from here. So it's quite a journey for the Danube mackerel, for the fish.
when I approach no matter what kind of community, I try to kind of understand their way of doing things. So when I approach the fishermen, I ask to help them to, for instance, release the fish from the nets. And then they somehow felt of me not as a threat or somebody who is just taking something from them, but also something who gives or is becoming part of it. It's very important to take time to build these relations and to be there with them.
Maybe double. Now.
The world is in a constant transformation, and mutation, invasiveness and so on are part of it. And it's more about how we adapt and how fastly we can adapt and what part they take, and it's like this beauty of transformation.